Hello dear friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. In this video, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to have a discussion of model question paper of first semester B.Sc BCA NEP syllabus generic English under Bangalore University and Bangalore North University. This question paper will be for 60 marks and the duration will be for 2 hours 30 minutes. Now the section A, which is the workbook, which consists 40 marks. Under this section A, we have the first question, the comprehension passage. Read the following passage and answer the questions given below. 5 questions will be asked based on this passage. So this is for the 5 marks. Let's read the passage. Too many parents these days can't say no. As a result, they find themselves raising children who respond greedily to the advertisements aimed right at them. Even getting what they want doesn't satisfy some kids. They only want more. Now, a growing number of psychologists, educators, and parents think it's a time to stop the madness and start teaching kids about what's really important. Values like hard work, contentment, honesty, and compassion. The struggle to set limits has never been tougher, and the stakes have never been higher. Our recent study of adults who were overindulged as children paints a, a discouraging picture of the future. When given too much too soon, they grow up to be adults who have difficulty coping with life's disappointments. They also have distorted sense of entitlement that gets in the way of success in the workplace and relationships. Psychologists say that parents who overindulge their kids set them up to be more vulnerable to future anxiety and depression. Today's parents, themselves raised on values of thrift and self sacrifice, grew up in a culture where no was a household word. Today's kids want much more, partly because there's so much more to want. The oldest members of this generation were born in the late 1980s, just as the PCs and the video games were making their assault on the family room. They think of the MP3 players and the flat screen television as essential utilities, and they have developed the strategies to get them. One survey of teenagers found that when they crave for something new, most expect to ask 9 times before their parents give in. By every measure, parents are shelling out record amounts. In the heat of buying blitz, even parents who desperately need to say no find themselves reaching for the credit cards. Today's parents are equipped to deal with the problems. Many of them raised in the 1960s or the 70s, they swore they would act differently from their parents and have closer relationships with their own children. Many even wear the same designer clothes as the kids and listen to the same music, and they work more hours, and at the end of a long week it's tempting to buy peace with yes and not more precious family time with conflict. Anxiety about future is another factor. How do well mentioned parents say no to all the sports gear and arts and language lessons they believe will help the kids thrive in an increasingly competitive world? Experts agree too much love won't spoil a child. Too few limit will. What parents need to find is a balance between the advantages of an affluent society and the critical life lessons that come from waiting, saving, and working hard to achieve goals. That search for balance has to start early. Children need limits on their behavior because they feel better and more secure when they live within a secured structure. Older children learn self control by watching how others, especially parents, act. Learning how to overcome challenges is essential to becoming a successful adult. Few parents ask children to do chores. They think the kids are already overburdened by social and academic pressures. Every individual can be of service to others, and life life has meaning beyond one's own immediate happiness. That means parents eager to teach values have to take a long, hard look at their own. So this is the passage, like in the examination, you will have a passage like this. Sorry, I have some throat infection. Sorry for the inconvenience. So here we have 5 questions based on this passage. So the first question, what values do parents and teachers want their children? So I have tried to figure out the answer is here: hard work, contentment, honesty, and compassion. Second question, what are the results of giving the children too much too soon? So answer could be children grow up to be adults who have difficulty coping with the life's disappointments. They also have distorted sense of entitlements that gets in the way of success in the workplace and relationships. Question number 3, why do today's children want more? Because there's so much more to want. Question number 4, what is the balance between the parents need to have in today's world? Answer, there should be balance between the advantages of an affluent society and the critical life lessons that come from waiting, saving, and working hard to achieve goals. Question number 5, what is the necessity to set limits for children? And the answer is because they feel better and more secure when they live within a secured structure. So this is how, from the first question, comprehension passage, there'll be 5 questions you need to attempt for 5 marks. So after the passage, we have the part 2, do as directed, and under this caption, we have the first question, arrange the following information in MLA format, modern language association format, under the caption, referencing skills. So we need to arrange the given information. So in this case, there should be the last name of the author should come first, followed by the first name. So John Henry, not Henry John, John comma Henry, full stop. The name of the book, Women and Their Empowerment, a Postmodern Study. Publisher, publisher is not mentioned here. The place name, New Georgia, followed by year, 1999. This is how you need to arrange the information, and this is for 2 marks. Next important question we have here, brochure writing. And I have prepared a separate video on this topic. You can also go through how to draft, how to prepare a brochure, the poster. Okay, in this case, we have a question here, create a brochure about vaccination drive arranged by a college. So it's a simple answer. So I have written here Royal College of Commerce and Management, Bangalore. So this is the company or the organization organizes COVID-19 vaccination drive. So this is the title of the program. For whom? For the staff of RCCM in association with TSCS. Then date, on which date? 10 January 2023. 2023. Then time 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. What's the venue? The football ground. And I have tried to capture here 2 important images. So like this, you can draft the brochure where you need to mention the company name, the title of the event, for whom the event is being conducted, and when is it being conducted, the date, time, venue, and preferably you can draw some relevant image which can bring more charm or more attraction to your presentation, or which can make your poster, your brochure more elegant and more presentable, because it's a question for 3 marks. You can also apply the color pencils, you can decorate it. Okay, up next we have next question, interpretation of the chart, the data interpretation. From this topic, read the graph and write a paragraph in about 100 to 150 words. So you can go through this, you can go through this graph, and I've written the answer like this. This graph reflects the categories of people who like different genre of movies in common. There are different genres of movies like comedy, action, romance, drama, science fiction, etc. The graph shows that the romantic movies are preferred by people and drama is the least preference. Whereas the movies which have pinch up comedy, science, the science fiction and action are also given a choice by the viewers equally. So like this, in this presentation, in the interpretation of the chart, you need to give a comparative study. You need to compare the different elements which are being presented in the pie chart or in the graph, so you can get the best marks. Use simple language without any grammatical errors, without any spelling error. So this question is for 5 marks. Next, you have question from the topic called listening and speaking or listening skills. So you have 5 questions. Answer any 5 questions, each for 5 marks. What is hearing? Hearing is the passive intake of sounds. Mention the 2 types of listening. Any 2 type you can mention: deep listening, critical listening, discriminative listening. Write any 2 differences between listening and hearing. Hearing refers to one's ability to perceive sound and by receiving sounds, waves, and vibrations through ears. Listening, something done consciously that involves the analysis and understanding of the sounds you hear. Question number 4, mention the macro skills of communication: listening, speaking, reading, writing. What is a therapeutic listening? It is a process of gathering information and exchanging communication from a therapeutic setting. Which are the 2 basic ways of communication? Obviously, verbal and non-verbal. And which are the 2 important pillars of therapeutic listening? Trust and empathy. So like this, you out of 7 questions, you need to update, you need to select the 5 questions which you feel that you could easily answer. So this section is for 5 marks. Next, each question is for 2. Next, you have here, answer the following questions again from the listening skill. Define the listening and write any 2 objectives. So you need to mention the meaning of listening skill. Okay, and any 2 objectives like develops relationships, builds trust. So this is for 2 marks. Mention any 4 signs of active listening, any 4 signals or any 4 ways of active listening, like paying attention, giving feedback, respond appropriately, using the occasional words or phrases like yes, very good, indeed. What is note? It's for 1 mark. Note is a sign of gesture that silently lets someone know you are engaged in listening. So this section 5, stands for 5 marks, again from listening skill. So the listening skill unit stands for 10 marks. Now, another section we have here, the functional English, where you can say here in giving introduction or inquiries. So the first question we have: introduce yourself to your class teacher. That's for 2 marks. So you need to write a very polite request with a polite statement. Good morning, sir. My name is Harish Gowda. I'm pursuing BCom. My goal is to become CA. My hobbies are playing cricket and reading books. So you can introduce. You can also elaborate your answer. Fill in the blanks with appropriate dialogues. So based on the given dialogues, you need to frame the left out the dialogues. So for example, Kumar, who says, "Hello, sir. Please, may I know on which platform the train to Bagalkot will arrive?" So what should be the expected answer from the railway help desk? So I written, it will arrive on platform number 9. So now the last statement we have, railway help desk, the train will reach 30 minutes late today. So based on this reply, what statement, what question we can frame? So Kumar asked, sir, is the train on time? The train will reach 30 minutes late. So this is called here dialogue writing for 2 marks. Sorry for the interruption. Write a line of request to your teacher requesting him or her to change the date of assignment submission. Again, the polite request. This for 1 mark question. Good morning, sir. Would you please extend the assignment submission date? Would you mind extending the assignment submission date? So like this, you can frame the sentence or the polite request. So this section is again for 5 marks. Now, next we have here 2 questions we have for 3 marks. You need to attempt any one. So the first question, write instructions to make lemonade with the ingredients given below. Water, lemon, sugar, ice cubes. So you can mention here 5 to 6 instructions, and instructions should not be in the sentences, just like the imperative sentences, like in the phrases, not paragraphs together. So like the number one, slice the lemon in half, squeeze them in a large measuring cup, combine the lemon juice and sugar, stir it, add ice cubes and serve. As I mentioned that in the section 7, there's an option for the question for instructions. So if you don't like to attempt the question for instructions, you can attempt this question. You need to read this picture and you need to write the steps how to use the device. So here, this picture belongs to a vegetable chopper. So we need to write the steps how to operate this vegetable chopper. So like you can write down 5 to 6 steps here, 5 to 6 instruction steps here, how to operate the given device. Example, open the lid of the vegetable chopper, place the blade into the container in its correct position, put vegetables in the container, close the lid, and pull the string of the vegetable chopper. Then always hold the container with one hand, use the other hand to pull the string and let the string to return to its default state. If you want finely chopped vegetables, then more often you need to pull the string. 6. Do not close the lid immediately after cleaning it. Keep it open for some time. Once it gets dry, then you can close the lid. So this is a question for 3 marks. In option to the instructions, you can write the steps how to operate the device, and the device picture will be given on your question paper. Next, you have few questions from grammar. So like we have first question for question text. That's for 2 marks. He reached home late yesterday. Answer is, didn't he? Students were excited about the vacation, weren't they? Then WH questions to get the underlined word or the phrase as an answer, again for 2 marks. UP, MP, and Bihar remain backward with regard to female education. Which states remain backward with regard to female education? Next question, the staple food of uh, Igbo community is Guardian soup. What is the staple food of Igbo community? And the next question, third one, correct form of the verb and fill in the blanks. The girl is a are very punctual to class. Girls are. So this is how you have the basic grammar question for 5 marks. Then you have one more question from the grammar for 3 marks, linkers, where you need to select the given linkers. We could not go to school for years, so we need to select here because of COVID-19 pandemic. My dad scolded me despite knowing it was not my mistake. These students are good in studies as well as in sports. So like this, the linkers, the conjunctions question is for 3 marks. So now the section B is for 20 marks. So workbook for 40 marks, and the textbook, there's a prose poetry is for 20 marks. Under that we have the first section. Answer any 5 questions out of the 7 questions. You need to attempt 5 questions. Each question is for 2 marks. So question number 1, why does a poet want to sell his 2 cars in the poem I Shall Go Back the New Year to buy a bicycle? What promise does the mother take from Alu? He would not marry a white woman in America. How was Kalam's teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer different from others? Kalam's science teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer wanted to break the social barriers between the Hindus and the Muslims. Fourth question, mention the reason for the speaker to desire bamboo fence instead of concrete walls. Answer is so that the fresh air may pass through the bamboo mesh to his home like the way it used to be in the past. Question number 5. How did Kalam make his earnings? He used to help Samsudin to catch the bundles and make his earnings. What are the duties a woman has to perform in the essay Relations Between Men and Women? Women, answer is like cleaning the place, to scour the dishes, to wash the floor, to cook night and day, to prepare and serve food for the husband, father, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and friends. Question number 7. Women are inferior to men in strength and energy. So like this, out of 7 questions, you need to attempt 5 questions, and this section is for 10 marks. Now another 10 marks. Out of 4 questions, you need to attempt 2 questions, and each question stands for 2 marks. Question number 1. I shall go back in the new year expresses the speaker's desire to go back in civilization. The poem titled I Shall Go Back in the New Year is composed by Nilim Kumar. In this poem, the poet speaks about the resolution made for the new year. He expresses his willingness to go back instead of stepping forward for the new year. He would like to look back and reflect what he had accomplished in the past. He gives more importance to the past than the future. He wants to go back from the civilization, and for this, he takes some decisive resolution. He would like to go back to civilization to avoid the lies for the new year, as lies are important to move further. He decides to live in past and enjoy the company of the past without embracing the new year, which will be filled with many lies. As the poet says that this new year I shall go back. Everyone thinks about stepping forward in the new year. This new year I shall go back. I shall go backward. So you can also quote you can quote the important lines from the poem to make your answer more impressive. Question number 2. I try to capture the picture from MS Word so that I can give more content. Question number 2. The story Living is about family relations and mother's anxiety towards the children. The story Living is set in Tanzania. It's a story of a woman who raises her 5 children alone after the early death of her husband. After her 2 elder daughters get married and the eldest son acquire a job, the mother focuses on the 2 younger ones, Alu and the youngest. The narrator himself, Alu is in his final year in school, and the girl is in university. She pins all her hopes on them that they will have a better education. She sells their store and moves to Panga, and the place is quieter and provides a better environment for them to study. The return of Mr. Dattu, a former teacher, inspires Alu to think of continuing his education in America. He wants to study medicine. He starts writing to American universities to get the necessary information. He's not keen on studying agriculture in a local university. He's offered a place with scholarship in California Institute of Technology. However, his mother would not allow him to accept this offer, citing the finances and the fear of losing him as the reasons. Finally, on the advice of a school teacher, the mother relents and accepts the idea of allowing Alu to leave home for a different sky. The narrator, for the first time, sees her mother as a person and not just as a mother, someone who has always thought only of the children's welfare. Alu's first letter was a graphic, enthusiastic account of London, but to the mother, she's uncertain of his return. So, this is how the story reflects the family relations and the mother's anxiety towards her children. Question number 3. How did Kalam's parents influence his childhood? Abdul Kalam was born in the island of Rameshwaram in 1931. It was a part of Madras state under the British rule. He was a short boy with the ordinary looks. He and his family lived in the ancestral house built of limestone and brick in the middle of the 19th century. Rameshwaram was the center place for pilgrims. The famous Shiva temple was near to his house. The locality was predominantly Muslim. He lived in the Mosque Street, which was named after old mosque in that area. People of both the religions, like the Hindus, the Muslims, lived in harmony and peace as neighbors. The high priest of the temple, Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, was very close friend of his father, and they used to discuss a spiritual matter. Abdul Kalam's father, Jalaluddin, was neither educated nor very rich, but he was very generous. His mother, Ashima, came from a more distinguished family. One of her ancestors had been given the title Bahadur by the British. She was equally generous, and they fed many outsiders every day. He had a secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. His father was very religious, though not very rich. Essential needs like food, medicines, clothes were well provided for. Kalam's father, General Abdin, believed that whenever human beings find themselves alone or in distress, they look for company, help, or consolation of some kind. Every suffering or desire, pain, or hope finds a special helper. His father considered himself a helper. He believed that with the help of prayer, worship, and or offerings, he can defeat evil of self-destructive forces. But with the help of prayer, he knew that they cannot solve the day-to-day problems. Prayer of this sort emanated fear among people, and fear often prevents one's hope from being fulfilled. Happiness and peace of mind come to us from within, not from external sources. Once a person knows this, setback and hurdles become temporary. Kalam was greatly influenced by his father's philosophy. Abdul Kalam was just about 6 years old when his father decided to put his philosophy into practice. Kalam learned from his parents their honesty, self discipline, kindness, and deep rooted faith in goodness. This is how Dr. Abdul Kalam was very much influenced by his parents in his childhood. The last question: explain how women endure distressed situation in the lesson. Relations between men and women. The extract titled Relations Between Men and Women by Raja Ram Mohan's writing, taken from Ramchandra Guha's Makers of Modern India, throws light on the on the abominable practices like sati, caste system, gender discrimination. The author speaks about the general inferiority of women in the male-dominated community, takes the benefit of women's corporeal weaknesses. They are described as incapable of acquiring excellent merit. The author blames male dominated society for not giving an opportunity to exhibit their natural capacity. They have been void of education and acquirements. Secondly, the author comments on the system where a woman has to burn with the corpse of deceased husband, and even though she is accused of deficiency in terms of resolution. To become rich, a woman's husband may indulge in crimes. If her husband is poor, she suffers every kind of trouble. And when he becomes rich, sorry, she is altogether heartbroken. All this pain and affliction, their virtue alone enable them to support. When a husband takes 2 or 3 wives to live with him, they are subject to mental miseries and constant quarrels. The author laments that men shows no compassion to the women who are dependent and exposed to every misery, and they should be exempted from being tied down and burnt to death. A woman endures such circumstances of their life courageously without uttering a single word of protest. Hence, the author describes the old age traditions which have existed over the centuries. These traditions still leave a footprints in modern India. So, dear friends, this is how I have tried to cover all the questions answers of this model question paper. You can also watch my about the last year's question paper, the May 2022 question paper, where I have solved all the questions answer. You can also watch it. Dear friends, thank you so much for watching this video. You can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Please do subscribe the channel, click on the like button for more videos on literature, workbook, pronunciation, grammar, communication skills, presentation skills, interview skills. Stay in tune with Mukesh English. Thank you once again.